to the chairman of the full committee, Mr. Smith, for his questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to comment, I'm really surprised our witnesses didn't have a better answer for the gentleman from California. I hope you'll be able to answer my questions, and let me direct my first ones, Ms. Manfra, to you. Are you aware of any breaches to our national security that have been facilitated by the Kaspersky products?
Sir, I can't discuss that in this forum.
I don't understand your answer.
So I'd prefer to have that discussion in a classified
No,
forum.
no, you don't need to have that in a classified hearing. I'm not asking for any specifics. I'm just asking if there have been breaches. I'm not talking about who had their systems breached, when it occurred, or how it occurred, just whether breaches did occur.
So we're still working through the process to identify...
Yeah, we've heard that phrase several times a day, working through the process. That's just not sufficient of an answer.
Sir, it's not conclusive at this time.
You don't know whether or not systems have been breached by Kaspersky Lab products yet?
We do not currently have conclusive evidence that they have been breached. I want to do a thorough review to ensure that we have a full picture.
What about the NSA employee? You don't think that was considered a breach?
Sir, I would have to direct any questions on NSA to the NSA.
But sure, are you aware of that episode?
So we'd have to have that discussion with the NSA.
I'm not. Are you aware of the episode, and do you consider it a breach?
I am aware of the allegations of what has been publicly reported in the press, and would have to discuss any further details with the NSA. And
okay, let me try a different question. How did the Russian software, some people would consider it spyware, get on the approved list by Department of Homeland Security?
Are you referring to the GSA?
Yes.
Sir, yes. As I mentioned, we need to modernize our supply chain risk management processes within the government. Currently, our processes within the civilian government are largely focused on
right.
lowest
and
cost,
the fact that it was a Russian firm operated by a Russian who had some perhaps association with the KGB and certainly the Department of Defense in Russia, that didn't raise any red flags to anyone?
Sir, I wasn't a part of the GSA decision-making process. What I can say is that when we had enough information to make this risk decision, we engaged the GSA, NASA, and others who had these government-wide contracts to begin to execute a process to remove it.
But wasn't that after we called it to your attention? Didn't anybody see any red flags before that?
Yes, sir. One of the first things that I did when I assumed the acting position that I'm now appointed to in January was to conduct a thorough review of our use of Kaspersky, the intelligence associated with it, and initiate a plan to remove it.
Yeah, that's not what I'm asking. That's after the fact. I'm asking about several years ago when it was on the approved GSA list. Are you aware of any agency that might have raised any red flags or not?
The government has been aware of some increasing concerns about Kaspersky, and we did, not me personally, but the agencies with that information did engage with other agencies that had those procurement responsibilities.
I have a question to DOD about that in a second, but one other question. Did the license agreement with Kaspersky allow penetration beyond the usual type of agreements you have with similar types of companies?
No.
Okay, we have pretty good evidence that that's not the case, and we'll get back to you on that and have a further discussion. Ms. Miller, let me address a couple of questions to you. We're under the impression that in 2012, the Department of Defense made a decision not to use Kaspersky lab products. Are you aware of that, or is that even true?
Sir, I'm not aware that that was true. However, we have used processes that I can't discuss at this point based on intel information to decide not to use the product.
Okay, when did you decide not to use the products?
So I don't know a date, sir.
A year?
I don't have a year. I think it's been a couple, but I would have to check.
Okay, it might have been 2012. I think we might have the same information. And can you say why they decided not to use, why DOD decided not to use Kaspersky lab products?
I cannot discuss that in open forum, but it was based on intel information that we had.
And security, are you aware of any security breaches that occurred at DOD as a result of Kaspersky products?
I have no knowledge of any within DOD.
Itself, okay. And in 2012, or however many years it was ago, that DOD decided not to use Kaspersky lab products, and you say you'll get back to us as to why they decided that. There had to be good reason, I assume. Do you know if they notified any other agencies of their concerns?
I'm not aware of any notifications.
Okay. Can you double check that for me? And that'll be an easy question to find out. If you can get back to us by this afternoon on those two questions that I asked you. And then a couple of questions, Ms. Manfra, I asked you, if you can get back this afternoon as well. They're easy to answer. And if you have to talk to me directly, that's fine. But I would ask you not to take advantage of the cover of classified unless individuals' names are involved or unless it's regard to specifics. If it's very general, that shouldn't be classified. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yield back.